Here at CSBP, we recognise the investment that you as growers make towards your crop nutrition and want to help you get the best return on your fertiliser investment. As a farmer, your soil is your biggest asset and the key to maximising crop and pasture growth and profitability. Soil sampling is the first step to understanding your soil's nutrient status and crop nutrient requirements ahead of the season, as well as identifying any possible soil constraints which may impact crop performance. Soil testing accurately measures the levels of macronutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and sulphur in the soil, as well as providing an indication of other factors that can affect crop performance, such as pH, organic carbon, electrical conductivity, and therefore overall soil health. Soil analysis and new logic interpretation allows us to provide you with a deeper understanding of your nutritional requirements for the season relative to your target production. By using soil analysis results, along with current economics, such as grain and fertiliser pricing, we can provide you with evidence-based fertiliser recommendations to maximise your returns. Soil testing and analysis ensures that you can use the right product at the right rate, in the right place, at the right time on your farm. We recommend using geo-referenced soil test points to ensure that you can revisit this site each time the paddock is resampled. This way, over time, you can monitor nutrient trends and the effectiveness of your fertiliser program. The easiest way to plan your soil testing points is by using the Decipher Ag platform. CSBP recommends selecting soil test points at least every 30 hectares, with the aim of soil sampling each site every 3 years, or sampling 1/3 of the farm every year. However, if the size of your management zones differ from this rule of thumb, then a representative number of samples should be taken in each management zone. Recent research undertaken by CSBP has also highlighted the value of deeper soil analysis in providing greater accuracy of the interpretation and fertiliser recommendations. We recommend soil sampling to a depth of 30 centimetres in 10 centimetre increments, with a standard new logic soil analysis test performed on each soil depth. An easy way to remember this is by the 30-30-3 rule. Soil test every 30 hectares to a depth of 30 centimetres every 3 years. Sample sites should be representative of the management zone. Ensure that old fence lines, old headlands, stock camps and similar areas of the paddock are avoided, as these can bias results. The use of biomass imagery can assist in this selection process. Soil sampling jobs can be sent from Decipher Ag to Decipher Ag mobile app on your smartphone. Ensure that your soil sampling job is uploaded into the app when you're in mobile range. Once you get to the paddock ready for the sampling, use the app to navigate to the soil sampling site. Scan the barcode on the bag and ensure that you have filled out the paddock information form correctly. The paddock information needs to be fully completed. The information contained will influence the accuracy of both the interpretation and the new logic fertiliser recommendation. CSBP requires the following information on your soil sampling form. Paddock use for this season. Crops or pastures have different nutritional requirements. The crop or pasture yield target for this year. If cereals or canola are selected, a grain grade is also required. Paddock use last season and paddock use 2 seasons ago. It is imperative that this information is entered accurately, particularly if there has been legumes grown in the paddock in the last 2 years. If legume crops have been grown, an assessment of the yield and harvest index is required. If pastures have been grown, an estimate of both production and legume percentage is required, as the rotational benefits of the nitrogen fixed by these legumes will need to be calculated in new logic to ensure that the nitrogen recommendation for this year's soil test results is accurate. Sampling depth is important to ensure that we know what part of the soil profile has been sampled. The amount of gravel present in the soil sample needs to be assessed and recorded, as this can also affect the accuracy of the fertiliser recommendation. Using Decipher Ag Mobile, make your way to the geo-reference pins to collect your samples. Scan the new logic bag using Decipher Ag, ensuring all your paddock information is correct. Top soil cores need to be taken at a depth of 10 centimetres. All nutrient analysis through the CSBP lab is calibrated to 10 centimetre increments. A sample taken with a shovel will not provide any accuracy. Sample core numbers need to be dictated by the core diameter of the soil testing implement. Recommended core numbers can be found in the FertCare Soil Sampling Guide or by contacting your CSBP area manager. Research shows that the increased number of cores sampled decreases the variability of the soil test results. Recommended methods of sampling consist of walking in a zigzag pattern around your vehicle or in an arch at the back of your vehicle, depending on your choice of sample tool. Cores should be taken from the interrow and in the drill row at a 9:1 ratio. Soil cores should be placed into a container and mixed thoroughly before pouring into the sample bag up to the line. Full nutrient analysis is important for subsoil tests. Monitoring subsoil nutrient levels is important for nutrient auditing purposes and provides your advisor with a complete data set to make the best decision. Seal your sample bag and place in the new Logic Soil Analysis envelope and send to the CSBP lab. There are 3 different methods of sampling that we'll demonstrate today, using a soil testing pogo, a drill, and the ute-mounted Welkie machine. When soil testing using a soil pogo, ensure that you always have correct equipment, including a soil testing pogo, a soil sample bag that is correctly labelled with the trading name, paddock name, and site identification. It is important to always label the bag correctly as a backup to using the soil sampling app. As soil sampling is always conducted in the paddock, you'll need to wear a hat, long pants, safety boots and sunscreen to ensure your personal safety and sun protection. A soil testing pogo consists of a hollow tube that runs the complete length of the pogo. There's 2 handles at the top of the tool and 1 footrest towards the bottom end. At the bottom of the tool below the footrest is the sampling end of the tool. It is important to always measure the length of the sampling end before use. From the bottom of the sampling end to the footrest should always measure 10 centimetres. It is important that this length is maintained as all soil sample results that are analysed through the CSBP Soil and Plant Lab are calibrated to a depth of 10 centimetres. Over time, as the tool wears out with use, this length can be reduced. Once this happens, the soil sampling pogo needs to be replaced with a new one to maintain the accuracy of your soil samples. When soil sampling, we only want to be including soil in the sample. Any debris or plant material needs to be gently moved out of the way. Do not kick or scuff the soil surface, as this will change the depth of the soil sample and will compromise the accuracy of the results. Once you have cleared the soil surface, place the sampling end of the pogo onto the soil surface. Hold onto both handles firmly and ensure that the pogo tube is vertical. Put 1 foot on the footrest and firmly push the soil pogo into the ground until the footrest is level with the ground. Give the pogo a gentle twist to loosen the sampling tube in the ground. Gently lay the pogo into a horizontal or near horizontal position to ensure the sample is not lost. If the pogo is removed from the ground vertically, some or all of the sample may be lost. Once the pogo is removed from the ground, place the sample bag over the top of the pogo tube and gently invert the pogo so that the soil sample completely goes into the bag. An alternative method of sampling is to use a small bucket to pour the soil sample into. Some people much prefer this method, as pouring straight into the bag can be awkward. As with using a direct-to-bag method, the pogo needs to be placed into a near horizontal position before the soil sample is gently poured into the bucket. Once the correct number of samples is in the bucket, give the sample a good mix, carefully pour it into the sample bag. Whether you are using the bag or bucket, the sample needs to be mixed well to ensure accuracy of results. When soil sampling, you need to follow a ratio of 9:1. This ratio refers to the requirements to take 9 samples in the interrow or between last year's cropping rows. For every 9 samples taken from the interrow, you need to take 1 sample from last year's crop row. When using a pogo, you need to take a total of 30 samples, which means 27 from the interrow and 3 from in the row. This follows the FertCare National Soil Sampling Standards. When sampling pasture paddocks or paddocks that are coming out of pasture, the ratio does not apply. However, the requirement to take 30 samples from representative areas of the paddock still applies. When taking your soil samples, it is good practice to walk in a zigzag pattern, taking your samples along the way. You can walk a zigzag pattern in an arch behind your vehicle, in a circle around your vehicle, or in a line away from your vehicle. It doesn't really matter. What matters is ensuring that you are taking the correct number of cores, 30 cores. 27 from the inter-row and 3 from in the row. This will ensure that you are taking a representative soil sample and will enable you as an advisor to give an accurate fertiliser recommendation. Once you've taken the correct number of cores, ensure that the bag is sealed and the soil sample is given a good mix before moving to the next sample site. When soil sampling using a drill-powered soil sampler, you will need to ensure that you have the right equipment, such as the soil sampling bags and the drill sampler, which in this case is a universal ground probe. This consists of a sampling tube and a long drill bit inside with a cutting tip on the end. The soil sample goes up the inside of the sampling tube and into the collection pan. You will also need a cordless drill to connect to the drill bit and enough batteries to sustain you throughout the day's sampling. As with all soil sampling, ensure that you have on the correct safety gear, including a hat, long pants, safety boots and sunscreen. To begin sampling using the drill, place the cutting tip on the ground, ensuring that any debris is cleared away as per normal soil sampling protocol. Ensure that the drill tube is vertical and carefully engage the drill trigger fully. Keep a firm grip and guide the drill sampling tube into the ground until the depth plate is level with the ground. Pull the drill back up whilst keeping the tube in the ground to ensure that the tube is completely cleared of soil before moving to the next sampling site. Some soil sampling drills have the ability to take samples at different depths from the same sample hole. As with all soil sampling, you need to ensure that the depth gauge on your drill is set to 10 centimetres. Make sure all screws are tightened and the foot plate cannot move. If the depth is not set correctly before sampling, the plate may move and the depth of the sample may vary. Any variation in depth from 10 centimetres will compromise the accuracy of your soil sample results. If you are going to use a drill to take samples from different depths, ensure that you take your first depth, such as 0 to 10 centimetres, and clear out the sampling tube of all soil. You then need to set the next depth whilst leaving the tube in the ground. Swap out the collection pan and then take the sample, taking care again to ensure the sampling tube is cleared. To begin sampling using the Welke drill, place the cutting tip on the ground at the first site, ensuring that any debris is cleared away as per normal soil sampling protocol. Ensure that the appropriate setting is selected for the depth required and carefully engage the drill trigger fully. Keep the trigger on the drill until no more soil is getting brought up the tube to ensure that no soil is mixed between the depths. Release the drill trigger, change the settings to the next depth and continue sampling. When using the Welke sampler, which has a 35mm diameter, 20 cores need to be taken. 18 of these are between the rows or the inter-row and 2 on last year's drill row. To do this, you need to do an arc around the ute, collecting 10 samples and putting each sample into its respective depth bucket before moving the ute forward to do another 10. Empty the soil collection pans again into respective buckets, then place lids on the buckets and shake until well mixed. Once mixed, pour the soil sample into the soil sampling bag up to the fill line. During transport, ensure that the unit is secured safely in place using a strap for extra support on roads and when required on farm. Based on your soil sample results and the paddock information, including rotation history, target yield, input costs and commodity pricing, CSBP's new logic model will enable us to recommend the best fertiliser strategy to suit your crop and pasture requirements. The new logic model has been developed using over 50 years of nutritional trial data from CSBP's extensive field research program, as well as using data from external industry sources, such as CSIRO and the Department of Primary Industries. Our team of nutritional advisors can assist with site selection and sample job planning, arrange for sample collection, review raw sample results, and provide you with a new logic product recommendation. New Logic soil analysis is just one step towards understanding your fertiliser requirements. Plant testing should be carried out in season to review the effectiveness of fertilisers applied and refine the strategy for future seasons.